Chapter 23. Raising a goo is like raising a mistress. The sun had already set. The sunset glow was still burning in the sky. The mountains far away in the distance were covered in a thick layer of gray ash, gradually turning to black. In the academy, a day's class was over. The students walked out from the academy in groups of 2s and 3s. I'm really happy today. I learned quite a few things, especially how I got to learn how to use the moonlight goo. The way the moonblade flies in the air looks so cool. It's too bad that my talent isn't enough, so in the future I can only be a logistics goo master. I won't be able to go onto the battlefield. The young teenagers happily chatted away. A few of them called their friends over. Let's go and eat. We can drink some rice wine while we're at it. What do you think? Sure, that's not a bad suggestion. You guys go on first. I need to go to the store beside the academy's goo room and buy a grass puppet. It will be easy to practice at home with it. Fang Yuan went to the goo room alone. The academy's goo room kept quite a few rank 1 goo worms. There were many types and variations, and Fang Yuan's moonlight goo was taken freely from inside. Once in a while the students would have a free chance to pick a goo worm. If one wanted to get extra goo, they would need to pay up. In this short time Fang Yuan had no wish to refine any other goo. He walked to the building beside the goo room. It was a small store. In the store there were 7 students, each of them negotiating over the counter with the store owner for buying grass puppets. It's you, Junior. The rank 1 goo master responsible for the store was in his 20s. When he saw Fang Yuan, he automatically greeted him while bargaining with his customers. Fang Yuan was taken by surprise, finding out that this goo master was Zhen. It was the young goo master that had taught the hunters a lesson in the inn. Ah, it's you, senior. Fang Yuan nodded his head, his face expressionless. Zhen took out a grass puppet from the counter behind him, passing it to the student who purchased it. At the same time he threw Fang Yuan a friendly smile and asked, "Did Junior brother come here to buy a grass puppet as well? If you want me to leave one for you, you just need 3 pieces of primeval stones. These things sell like hotcakes. Right now there's only 7 left. If you wait any longer there won't be any stock left." Zhang's attitude towards mortals was arrogant, but towards people like Fang Yuan, he was very kind and sincere. Fang Yuan shook his head, laughing secretly as he thought, this Zhang really did know how to do business. The grass puppets were made with the scarecrow goo. Even after including the primeval essence that was put in, the final cost should not be more than 1.5 primeval stones. Senior, this isn't fair. It should be first come first serve. Why leave any for him? Yeah, we all came early. If you want to do business you should know the rules. 3 pieces will be 3 pieces. Here's the primeval stones. Give me a grass puppet. The youngsters in the store were all worried when they heard that the store only had 7 puppets left. They stopped trying to negotiate and took out their stones to buy it. Very quickly, 7 satisfied teenagers walked out. Does my junior want to buy a grass puppet? Zhang laughed as he asked. It seems like they were sold out, but actually there's still the 8th puppet stowed away below the chest. If Junior doesn't buy it now, you will miss the opportunity. Fang Yuan had no interest towards the grass puppet. He shook his head and pulled out a piece of primeval stone, putting it on the counter. I want to buy 10 moon orchid petals. Zhang was stunned. He looked Fang Yuan deep in the eye, taking away the primeval stone and pulling open the counter drawer. Then he took out a paper bag, saying, 10 pieces of moon orchid flower petals, not one less. Please make sure. Fang Yuan checked the goods on the spot and found no mistake with it. Finally he left the small shop. Goo have to be fed. A goo master refines goo, uses goo, and at the same time needs to raise goo. Refining a goo is difficult. There is the risk of counterattack. Using a goo is not easy. One needs a lot of practice. The knowledge of raising a goo is even more extensive and profound. Because there are all kinds of goo worms, and their food are exceedingly strange. Some need to swallow soil, some need starlight, some require tears, and some feed on the clouds and air from the 9 skies. Just by taking Fang Yuan's current 3 goo for example, the moonlight goo requires moon orchid petals, 2 meals a day. In the morning and night 1 meal, every meal 2 pieces of flower petals. Meanwhile for the liquor worm, it needs to drink wine. A jar of green bamboo wine could support it for 4 days. As for the spring-autumn cicada, it is even more peculiar as it drinks straight from the river of time, maintaining its vitality. The river of time supports the flow of this world. It is not far away in the sky but very near at hand, flowing by every person's side. Every move made by every living creature requires the push of time. Time is like flowing water, hurriedly gliding forward. The river of time is invisible and colorless, while in reality all living creatures are actually surviving and living in the waters of the river of time. After buying the bag of moon orchid petals, Fang Yuan went to the inn to buy green bamboo wine. The liquor worm could also drink some turbid wine or rice wine to live. However, with this kind of second-rate wine, the amount it needed to drink would increase, and it would need many jars every day. After calculating, Fang Yuan decided it would be better to buy green bamboo wine straight away. Not only would it be more worth than buying second-grade wine, it would also not arouse suspicion. "Young sir, you've come." The workers in the inn had already known Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan passed him 3 pieces of primeval stones directly, saying with a familiar ease, "Give me a jar of green bamboo wine and make me a few good dishes. You don't need to give me the change, just put it here first. At the end of the month when it amounts up to 1 stone, you can subtract from my bill with it." Even though Fang Yuan no longer stayed at the inn right now ever since he moved to the academy dormitories, he would always have a meal here when he bought wine. "All right. Young sir, please take a seat, the dishes will be sent over immediately," the worker echoed, leading Fang Yuan to his seat. He took the cloth on top of his shoulder and gently wiped the table before leaving. Indeed, as the worker said, the dishes were very quickly served. Fang Yuan ate and calculated at the same time in his mind. A piece of primeval stone can buy me 10 pieces of flower petals. The moonlight goo consumed 4 pieces every day. A jar of green bamboo wine costs 2 pieces of stones, and it can support the liquor worm for 4 days. In other words, just to raise and feed the 2 of these goo, I would need to spend nearly 1 stone every day. It does not seem like much, but in reality this was very costly. The monthly living expenses for a mortal family of 3 only used up 1 piece of primeval stone. From the starting of refining the goo until today, 16 days had already passed. Just to raise the goo alone, Fang Yuan had already spent 14.5 primeval stones. I have acquired the flower wine treasure, taken away Fang Zheng's bag of primeval stones, and also got the first place reward. My primeval stone assets once reached up to 44 pieces and a half. However, in the early days of refining the goo I wasted 6 pieces and a half, then I used 14 pieces and a half on feeding these goo. My living expenses cost half a piece, and today I am probably left with 20 pieces. Fang Yuan took out his money pouch. He opened it and looked inside. The bag contained pieces of primeval stones inside. Each of these stones were grayish-white in color, their shapes ellipsoid and the volumes equal, the size similar to a duck egg. After counting, he found that he really only had 20 pieces left. In other words, if this continued on then, Fang Yuan would only be able to go on for half a month with the remaining stones he had left. He was not like his peers. They had relatives and friends to help them out, especially with the case of students like Gu Yue Mo Bei and Gu Yue Kai Cheng who were loaded with primeval stones. Fang Yuan could only think of a way himself. Uncle and aunt have already cut off my living expenses, but every weekend the clan academy would give out 3 pieces of primeval stones as subsidy to every student. Looks like I would need to show off in the Moonblade assessment in 3 days and take that 10 primeval stone prize. Fang Yuan chewed the food in his mouth while he pondered. His current age was just at the age where the body was growing. Without realizing it, all the rice and dishes had entered his stomach. Taking up the sealed green bamboo wine jar, Fang Yuan lifted his feet and started walking, leaving the inn. "Young sir, young sir." The inn worker chased after him from behind and said, "Just to tell young sir something, but in less than a month the trading company will arrive to the village. By convention they would always buy the green bamboo wine in our shop. Young sir loves our green bamboo wine and always buys a few jars every week. So the innkeeper ordered me to tell young sir about this matter. The green bamboo wine in our store has limited supply, so after we sell it to the trading company I'm afraid we would be left with very little." "Is that the case?" When Fang Yuan heard the news, he frowned slightly. To know someone and tell apart the conversation, Fang Yuan had 500 years of experience. The shop worker and the young Gu master, Jiang Ye, spoke with similar meaning. However, Fang Yuan could naturally tell the difference with Jiang Ye's tricky words and the shop worker's truthful words. This matter was a little troublesome. Fang Yuan needed to feed the liquor worm, and he needed a huge amount of green bamboo wine in the long run. If this inn ran out of stock, then he would have to use huge amounts of second-rate wine to feed the liquor worm. It was not possible for him to drink several jars a day. After a while people would be suspicious. After thinking about it, Fang Yuan took out 10 pieces of primeval stones and said, "Then I'll buy another 5 jars. I will need you to carry them for me and follow me to put them in the academy dormitory." "All right, young sir." The worker immediately accepted the primeval stones. The moon orchid flower petals could only last for 5 days without any special storage means, so Fang Yuan would only buy a bag every time. However, the green bamboo wine could be kept for a very long time, thus there was no problem with this. A few workers followed Fang Yuan into the academy dorms and placed the wine jars under his bed, and then they bid their leave. As he saw the money pouch that had suddenly flattened down in his hands, Fang Yuan heaved a sigh. Refining a gu is hard, but raising a gu is also not easy. This is also considering the fact that he had his 500 years of previous life experience, so he did not need to practice using his gu, meaning that the consumption rate of primeval essence would be lessened, and thus saving him a huge sum of expenses. For those at his age around him, they would need to practice using the moonlight gu and would need to waste primeval essence. To increase proficiency, one would need to practice many times. When too much primeval essence is consumed, primeval stones would have to be used as a supplement since the recovery rate is too slow. To buy a grass puppet it costs 3 primeval stones as well. All this is money. Fortunately, my spring-autumn cicada feeds on time and not anything else. Otherwise I would have long gone bankrupt. I would never be able to support it. Fang Yuan suddenly felt very lucky. The more high-end the gu is, the greater the food consumption needed, or the more precious and rare the food required would be. Thus the more difficult it would be to keep. A normal level rank 2 gu worm would cost up to around 1 to 2 pieces of primeval stones a day. It is good enough if the food is purchasable. There were some gu that required food that was relatively difficult to find. Some of it did not even circulate in the market. Just like the spring-autumn cicada's food being time itself, this was actually more precious. After all, there was a saying, "An inch of gold cannot buy an inch of time." No matter how much money you have, can you buy time? You can't. In theory, a gu master can refine an unlimited amount of gu. As long as you can refine it, whether 10, 100, or 1,000 worms is possible, you can refine as many gu as you wish to. But in reality, a gu master normally only had 4 to 5 gu. Why? The biggest reason is because it is hard to afford. The higher the grade of the worm, the more expensive it would cost to feed and raise. It often gave a gu master too many difficulties to cope with, making them have unceasing headaches over it. Another reason was unable to use. To use the moonlight gu to throw out a single moonblade attack, one would need to use up 10% of primeval essence. A C-grade talent gu master could run out of primeval essence in their apertures after launching 3 to 4 attacks. To raise so many gu, wouldn't it be a waste if one couldn't use them anyway? Thus, in the gu master's cultivation there was a saying going around, "Raising a gu is like raising a mistress." To keep a mistress you would need to buy food, clothes, a house, etc. It is very expensive, and the more you have the more costly it is. A normal man cannot afford it. Even if you keep so many, a man's energy is limited. He cannot use them all. Would you raise them just to look at them? When the rank of the goo master increases, so does the food standard of the goo worm. Thus please refrain from seeing how a goo master has no limit to the number of refining goo. In general, a goo master only keeps around 4 to 5 goo of his level. If the number of goo was raised higher, the goo master would go bankrupt. Chapter 24. Close Combat Goo Master 3 days later. Lowering your body to dodge, that is the usual technique of restraining against a flying fist. When your enemy comes and attacks you, quickly squat down and at the same time do a counterattack, striking his crotch and abdomen. Do not be afraid of a swinging fist. Usually those who come up and start swinging their fists at the first moment are people who have no brains and are impulsive and rash. On the martial arts field, the Academy's martial arts, one instructor spoke while he performed actions to demonstrate. A wooden puppet's right first swept over, and the martial arts instructor quickly squatted down, dodging the incoming attack. Then he threw a punch at the puppet's abdomen, knocking it down with a few punches. The students were looking at the demonstration in a circle, but most of them were lacking in spirit, showing very little interest. The Academy taught a variety of courses, and this lesson was the one that taught foundation of martial arts. Using fists and legs to exert oneself was too inferior to the handsome and cool attack style of the Moonblade, making almost all the students absent-minded. The next class will be the Moonlight Goo's usage assessment. How have you been practicing so far lately? I'm still doing good. I can do 3 Moonblades, but only a few of them actually hit. Usually I get 2 blades on the grass puppet. That's the same like me. I specially bought a grass puppet just to practice for this in these few days. The young teens whispered to one another, their minds long gone from the lesson. They were all worried about the assessment in the next class. Just for this assessment they had practiced hard for a long time after class, and now they were flexing their hands and feet, looking forward to the assessment. The sounds of the students' discussion had reached the instructor's ear, and the martial arts coach jerked his gaze back at them, shouting, "No talking allowed in class. All of you keep your mouths shut and watch closely." He was a rank 2 Goo master, his body rather muscular. His upper body was naked and robust, the bronzed skin littered with countless scars on it. With a loud shout, he showed a threatening manner, pressing down on all the students in the field. Silence fell in the martial arts field. The foundation of martial arts is the most important among important things. Especially in the early stages of a Goo master's cultivation, it is more important than anything else. All of you better focus your attention on me. After he finished scolding, the martial arts instructor called out another wooden puppet. This light yellow wooden puppet was 2 meters tall, its huge wooden feet making sharp sounds as it stepped on the bluestone floor tiles. The wooden puppet stretched open its arms and rushed clumsily towards the coach. The instructor dodged its attack, then fiercely hugged its waist and used his strength to push it forward down, causing the huge and tall wooden puppet to fall to the ground. Then the instructor rode on the puppet's waist and swung his fist quickly at the puppet's head. The wooden puppet resisted for a moment, then its head was smashed broken by the instructor's raining blows. It was paralyzed on the ground, lying motionless. The martial arts instructor stood up, his breathing calm and long as always. He explained to the students, when facing a huge and tall enemy in close combat, do not be afraid. Ruining the opponent's center of gravity is a type of sensible tactic to pin down your enemy. Just like how I did it earlier, you must hug the opponent's waist, control his hips and then push forward with your strength. After that, you take the opportunity and get on his body and fiercely punch at your enemy. Those with no defensive capabilities will instantly collapse. The students nodded repeatedly, but most of their eyes showed disapproval. The coach saw all of this and laughed bitterly in his heart. Every batch was like this. The attitudes of these youngsters were naturally easily attracted by gorgeous things. Without personal understanding and experience, it was hard for them to understand the importance of having a martial arts foundation. In truth, especially for a Gu master in his early stage, while the basic martial arts did not look promising, it was actually more important than the blade attack. Remember, in close combat, your sight must not always stare at the enemy's eye. It should focus on the enemy's shoulder. No matter punching or kicking, the enemy's shoulder will always move first. In close combat, your speed is very important. The speed I am talking about in this context is not the speed of your fists, but the speed of the movement of your legs. Distance is the best defense. Keep your legs elastic, then you will be able to easily burst out your strength. When striking with your fists, maintain a triangle support. Otherwise, you will lose your footing. The enemy has not fallen, yet instead you fell first, the instructor patiently explained while he demonstrated. These were all his valuable experiences that he got from sacrificing blood and tears, experience accumulated from long battles. Unfortunately, the students were unaware of this. They gradually started to whisper again, the focus of the discussion still on the next lesson's Moonblade assessment. This martial arts instructor is very pragmatic, but his teaching style is wrong. Fang Yuan watched quietly among the crowd, nodding and shaking his head at times. The instructor had no discipline in his teaching. He taught completely by interest and just taught whatever he thought of. Therefore, the things he taught came out in a mess, and there was a lot of complicated info. In the beginning, many students listened seriously, but gradually they lost interest and diverted their attention to other aspects. Only Fang Yuan listened meticulously all the way. While others were learning, he was revising. His combat experience was richer than the instructor, but listening to others narrating was also a way of verification in cultivation. A Gu master's method of fighting is usually divided between melee and ranged. The Moonblade attack is a type of ranged attack, but when strictly speaking, it is considered medium range due to its effective distance only being 10 meters. When it came to close combat Gu masters, the martial arts instructor was the best example. Melee battle Gu masters would usually choose Gu that amplified their own body strengths and cultivate. These Gu would give them superhuman strength, agility, responsiveness, endurance, etc., just like this martial arts instructor. His whole body was covered in bronze skin. This was of course not his own skin color, but it was a type of copper skin Gu's effect. The copper skin Gu would increase the Gu master's skin toughness and defense by a lot, letting the Gu master be able to endure more damage. A single Moonblade would consume 10% of primeval essence. How many times can a Gu master throw a Moonblade during battle? The number is few, especially for beginners who have difficulty forming effective blows. It can only be used as a type of trump card. The terrorizing factor is greater than its lethality. To a rank 1 Gu master, the truly useful skill would be martial arts Kung Fu. This is because the martial art offense is more durable and reliable. It's a pity that this fact is something that they will not understand unless they face it with their own experience. Fang Yuan lightly glanced around at his peers, a faint sneer somehow forming on his lips. The basic martial arts class was finally over. After a short rest, the students' eyes were filled with anticipation. The academy elder was late. He waved his big hand, pointing at the row of grass puppets in front of the bamboo wall. He went straight to the subject and said, "All right, today is the day to check the results. I want 5 people in a group coming up in proper sequence, using the Moonblade to attack 3 times. Swoosh." The first group of students went up, and the Moonblade danced in the air. After 3 rounds, only 9 Moonblades hit on the grass puppets. The academy elder shook his head a little, feeling slightly displeased. This hit rate was too low, the key being that among these 5 only 2 managed to successfully throw out 2 Moonblades. "You all better practice properly after this, especially you and you," the elder reprimanded in a short sentence. Then he waved his big hand and said, "Next group." The 2 that were reprimanded dropped their heads and left the field in dismay. One of them was a girl, her eyes a little red and her heart grieving. She was only a C-grade talent, yet she could not bear to use primeval stones to quickly recover her primeval essence. Thus in these 3 days she practiced very little, resulting in her unskilled throwing of the moonblade. A Gu master needed money to refine Gu, raise Gu, even practicing to use Gu needed cash. But where was she able to get so much money? Even though her 2 parents were supporting her from behind, but every family had their own problems. To be short of funds was often the dilemma that a Gu master faced. Anyway, I don't have the slightest chance of getting number 1. I might as well give up and save on primeval stones. That is better for me. As she thought of this, her heart became calm once more. There were actually quite a number of people who thought the same way as this young girl. Because of the lack of practice, many of the students performed poorly. The academy elders' brow deepened more and more. Fang Yuan watched, secretly shaking his head. These people are really pitiful and sad. Just for a small amount of primeval stones, they gave up their own chance to make progress. Primeval stones are meant to be used. If you want to become a miser and accumulate primeval stones, then what did you become a Gu master for? In other words, those who are short-sighted would often haggle over every penny and chase after less important things. As for those with lofty aspirations, they usually showed a tolerant and generous attitude, and had the strength to give up and let go of things. It's finally my turn. At this moment, Gu Yue Mo Bei's horse face lit up in a confident smile all over, and he walked up to the field. His stature was stout and gave out a fierce and strong aura. After standing still, he raised his hand and threw 3 moonblades, all 3 of them hit. Among the blades, 2 of them hit on the puppet's chest, while the other blade hit the puppet's left arm, shaving away a few green grass. This result naturally caused the young teens to burst with admiration. Well done. The elder's brow slightly smoothed out. The next group came up, Gu Yue Kai Cheng standing among them. He had a small and short body, his face full of pockmarks, his expression bringing a slight nervousness. He sent out 3 moonblades continuously, and all 3 hit on the puppet's chest, cutting out 3 intertwined scars. The scars went from deep to shallow and restored back to its original appearance after a few breaths, due to the puppet's self-healing ability. However, this outcome was already tied to Gu Yue Mo Bei's result, and also received the elder's praise. Kai Cheng held his head high as he walked out of the field, looking at Mo Bei defiantly in the eye on the way. HMPH. Below the field, Gu Yue Mo Bei gave a cold snort, but he did not return Kai Cheng's glare. Instead, he continued looking at Gu Yue Fang Zheng, who had not gone up yet. His heart clearly knew that the real threats were only Gu Yue Kai Cheng and Gu Yue Fang Zheng. The previous was the same like him, a B-grade talent while also having the constant supply of primeval stones. The latter was an A-grade talent, while Fang Zheng did not have as many primeval stones as them, but just by relying on his own natural recovery speed thanks to his grade talent, he would also be able to practice a lot in a short amount of time. Right now Gu Yue Kai Cheng's results have appeared, showing a tie to Mo Bei, and only Gu Yue Fang Zheng was left. In the last few groups, Gu Yue Fang Zheng finally came up to the stage. Chapter 25. The light of spring is enchanting. Is he Fang Yuan or Fang Zheng? Some of the students were muttering. There were still people who could not differentiate between Fang Yuan and Fang Zheng, the 2 twin brothers. It's Fang Zheng. Fang Yuan is always wearing a cold expression. He would never appear tense, someone answered. Oh, then there will be a spectacle. Fang Zheng is the only A-grade talent from our village in 3 years after all. The crowd casted their eyes over to the field. Fang Zheng could feel the pressure among the gazes shot at him, and this made him feel even more nervous. Standing on the stage, his fingers were trembling slightly. He threw out his first moonblade, originally intending to aim at the grass puppet's chest, but because he was tense, he missed. In the end, the moonblade imprinted onto the grass puppet's neck area. The young teens instantly let out a sound of slight surprise. They thought that Fang Zheng deliberately did it. Instead of aiming for the easiest spot, which was the chest of the puppet, he went for the neck instead. This was a showcase of huge self-confidence towards his own attacking skill. They could not help but look forward to Fang Zheng's next move. Gu Yue Mo Bei and Gu Yue Kai Cheng, however, had their complexions cast down. Only those among the field who could see Fang Zheng's error were the Academy Elder and Fang Yuan. How dangerous! Looking at the Moonblade, Fang Zheng exclaimed in his heart while secretly feeling lucky. He took in a few deep breaths, trying his best to calm down. Then he threw out 2 blades. This time he did not make any mistakes, and the 2 blades hit accurately on the grass puppet's chest. This result made the Academy Elder nod his head, and Mo Bei and Kai Cheng calmed down as well. Fang Zheng's result was different from theirs, so it would all come down to how the Academy Elder decided to grade them. The other students let out sounds of sighing. Fang Zheng's later performance was not interesting, making them feel slightly disappointed. The next few groups were not interesting either. No one was able to perform better than Mo Bei, Kai Cheng, and Fang Zheng. The youngsters started to whisper around. At this rate, the top scorer in today's assessment should be among the 3 of them. All 3 of them managed to hit the grass puppet. I wonder who the Academy Elder will deem better. Hold on, it's the last group. Fang Yuan's going up. Oh, that C-grade talent, cold genius. Heh heh. Right when it was the last group, Fang Yuan finally went up stage. It's that Fang Yuan. Gu Yue Mo Bei lifted his head and looked at Fang Yuan for a moment, then he lowered his eyes uncaringly. Last time you got really lucky, choosing a weak-willed Moonlight Gu by accident and getting number 1. Let's see how you perform this time. Gu Yue Kai Cheng hugged his arms, waiting to see Fang Yuan make a fool of himself. Big brother, this time will not be like the last. I have practiced so hard for so long, I can definitely surpass you. Among the crowd, Gu Yue Fang Zheng pursed his lips, subconsciously clenching his fists tightly. Previously in the assessment to refine the vital Gu, he as someone with an A-grade talent actually got 2nd position. Naturally, he was not happy with this, especially after he understood that Fang Yuan was able to win and get number 1 because of sheer luck. This made him even more unsatisfied. To Gu Yue Fang Zheng, being victorious over his own older brother Fang Yuan had a special and great significance. Many gazes were gathered on Fang Yuan, and the Academy Elder's sight was fixed on him as well. Fang Yuan made no emotion. His expression was cold and detached. He stood still, primeval essence pouring into the Moonlight Gu in the heart of his palm. With a cut in the air, he struck out the first Moonblade. This Moonblade flew very high. It not only went over the grass puppet's head but flew over the bamboo wall as well. It went on for almost 15 meters before the light turned dim and vanished into thin air. PFFFFT, someone couldn't help but laugh out. This is way too outrageous, isn't it? Someone sneered. He's indeed a genius. No wonder he managed to get number 1 in refining the Gu. Another spoke sarcastically. In the earlier years when Fang Yuan created poetry and showed early wisdom, it had already caused discontented emotions among these people. Later on, when he relied on luck and got number 1 in refining his vital Gu, this made them feel a layer of jealousy among their dissatisfaction. Many of them were waiting to see a good show. They waited to see the genius, Fang Yuan, reveal an embarrassing action, and this Moonblade of his did not let them down. Waves of laughter swept across the crowd. The Academy Elder shook his head slightly, secretly laughing at himself. Why did he have to be so concerned with Fang Yuan for no reason? He was just a C-grade and merely a boy who got number 1 in refining Gu because of sheer luck. In his heart he had already made up his mind. Although Mo Bei, Kai Cheng and Fang Zheng's results were the same, he would still pick Fang Zheng as number 1. The war between Gu Yue Mo Bei and Gu Yue Kai Cheng was the epitome of the political struggle between the 2 most powerful elders in the clan. The Academy Elder had always remained in the center and had no intention to enter the middle of the political vortex. The Academy Elder was more inclined towards the clan head Gu Yue Bo, and Fang Zheng was a set with the clan leader. Add in the fact that he had a grade talent. Choosing him as number 1 would mean showing biased care for him, and it was something the clan's upper authorities could accept. A warm spring breeze blew over, the smell of flowers drifting into the training grounds. The sunlight shone down on Fang Yuan's body, sending a lonely black shadow onto the ground. His expression was still cold as he quietly gazed at the grass puppet 10 meters away. The moonblade in his palm was giving out a faint blue light. Of course, he had deliberately thrown the first moonblade off course. Right now he only had 2 chances left to act. Taking into account the Academy Elder's position, to acquire number 1 he would have to create an outcome that exceeded everyone's expectations in the next 2 attacks. With only 2 chances left to attack, it's impossible. Big brother, I have finally won over you. Gu Yue Fang Zheng's eyes did not flicker as he stared at Fang Yuan. From young till old, the life shadow that his older brother had brought onto him finally faded away slowly at this moment. Fang Zheng could feel victory so nearby. His 2 fists were subconsciously clenched tight, his entire body so full of excitement that he trembled slightly. Big brother, my victory this time is just a beginning. Next I will keep on winning over you again and again until I banish away all the shadows in my heart. I will prove to the clan the excellence of an A-grade talent genius. Fang Zheng told himself in his heart. But just at this moment, Fang Yuan acted. His right palm was like a knife, splitting the void. With a sharp tearing sound, the watery blue light shrouded in his palm was thrown out. It flew in the air, turning into a curved blue moonblade, shooting towards the grass puppet. In just the next second, Fang Yuan's right palm lit up again in a coat of blue light. He turned his palm and shot out the third moonblade. These 2 attacks connected smoothly like flowing water. It was a seamless combination. The 2 moonblades flew out in quick succession, the distance between the 2 blades less than half a meter apart in the air. Under the stunned gazes of the crowd, the 2 moonblades accurately hit onto the grass puppet's neck. This, Fang Zheng's pupils shrank, a bad feeling emerging from his heart. In the next moment, the students slowly opened their mouths wide as they wore astonished expressions. They saw that the grass puppet's head slowly tilted to one side, then it fell off the neck and dropped onto the ground. With a bounce, it rolled 2 to 3 meters away. Fang Yuan had beheaded the puppet. This outcome had gone beyond the expectations of everyone on field. Is this luck or skill? The Academy Elder frowned. This doubt hovered in the hearts of the rest of the students. For a time, the entire training ground lapsed into silence. How could this be? Fang Zheng murmured. He stared at Fang Yuan blankly, the surged emotions in his heart dropping instantly, falling deep into the lowest point. Fang Yuan narrowed his eyes, acting as if he was oblivious to the gazes that fell onto him from the crowd. Cluck, cluck under the blue skies and white clouds, a group of peacock parrots suddenly flapped their wings and flew in midair. They dragged their magnificent, long and slender peacock tails, clucking in the air as they flew about playfully. Fang Yuan stood in the center of the training field, looking up. Under the bright sunlight, the multicolored feathers of the birds dazzled even greater and gorgeous. His expression was indifferent, as if the person who just cut off the grass puppet's head was not him. Ah, the light of spring is really enchanting, he sighed in his heart. Chapter 26. The nature of all organizations. As it neared nightfall, the sun on the edge of the horizon looked like blood. The afterglow rays poured into the school where around 50 students sat upright. On the stage above, the Academy Elder was reading out names one by one, distributing allowance to them. This was the Academy's weekly subsidy where every 7 days' allowance would be distributed. One could say it was financial aid for these young teens. After all, with their capabilities to feed and raise their own gu was a lot of financial pressure. Gu Yue Fang Yuan, the elder read aloud. Fang Yuan got up from the seat by the window at the last row. He walked up the stage, receiving 2 money bags. In one bag was 3 primeval stones, the clan's allowance. The other bag held the reward of 10 primeval stones. Work hard, the elder said. He gave Fang Yuan a deep look. Fang Yuan had continuously achieved number 1, and this had let those elders who were originally disappointed in him start paying slight attention. Fang Yuan nodded his head and took the purse into his arms, returning to his seat. Damn it, he actually got number one again. Gu Yue Moubei fixed his gaze onto Fang Yuan firmly, his heart rather furious. Those two moonblades consecutively hit the neck of the puppet. Is this because of sheer luck or real skill? Gu Yue Kaicheng narrowed his eyes. Since the end of the assessment until now, this question had been hovering in his mind. It was not just him. Many students unconsciously drifted their sights towards Fang Yuan. This question haunted them. Although they had lost, their hearts were unsatisfied and they wanted to question what actually had happened. When the day was about to end, the academy elder announced a matter. You all have been in the academy for an amount of time now, and you are familiar with how to use your vital goo as well. In the next few days, I will teach you all how to warm and nourish your aperture, advancing a goo master's cultivation realm. The higher the realm of a goo master, the more concise your primeval essence becomes. A rank 1 goo master has green copper primeval essence. A rank 2 goo master has red iron primeval essence, and a rank 3 goo master possesses white silver primeval essence. A portion of red iron primeval essence is comparable to 10 portions of green copper primeval essence. Similarly, a portion of white silver primeval essence equals 10 portions of red iron primeval essence. You must all remember, the goo are just tools that we use. Cultivation is the foundation of us goo masters. The higher your rank, the stronger the goo you are able to use. In the next 3 months, whoever can take the lead and promote to rank 1 middle stage will receive a reward of 30 primeval stones. At the same time, he will be able to choose the second goo first. After 3 months, we will elect a class monitor and 2 vice class monitors based on the results. The class monitor will enjoy a subsidy of 10 primeval stones, while the vice class monitor will have an allowance of 5 pieces. All right, that's all for today. You can all leave. The elder's words made the academy burst with noise. Time to elect the class monitor and vice class monitor. Someone clenched his fist in excitement. The class monitor receives 10 primeval stones every 7 days, and the vice class monitor gets 5 pieces. If I am able to be the first to reach rank 1 middle stage, I will definitely be able to become the class monitor. Another had lights in his eyes. The primeval stones are not the important focus. What matters here is the position of class monitor and vice class monitor. It represents glory and places one's identity over others. When normal students seize the class monitor, they must all bow and greet him. Gu Yue Moubei and Kai Cheng did not lack primeval stones, but they deemed the glory of the position very important. To become the class monitor, without mistake, it is the first person who promotes to rank 1 middle stage first. That means when Big Brother see me in future, he would have to bow and automatically greet me. Hold up, where is Big Brother? Gu Yue Fang Zheng subconsciously looked back, but Fang Yuan's seat was empty. The students walked out of the academy. Where's Gu Yue Fang Yuan? Gu Yue Moubei wanted to look for Fang Yuan and ask him face to face. However, Fang Yuan was 1 step ahead and had long left. HMPH, he sure ran away fast. Is he afraid? Looks like he got lucky again in today's test. Gu Yue Kaicheng sneered. Whatever, it's just 10 primeval stones. I don't need to care about this small matter. Right now what's important is to advance to middle stage and get that class monitor position. Gu Yue Moubei narrowed his eyes, looking at his side where Gu Yue Kaicheng and Gu Yue Fang Zheng were. These two figures were his real enemy, while Fang Yuan was just a small C-grade talent. He was not on par. In the first 2 times, Fang Yuan got lucky and got number 1. However, this time it is a cultivation test, and the focus is on the talent of cultivation. When the talent is higher by a grade, the advantage becomes much greater, Gu Yue Kaicheng thought, depressed in his heart. His real grade talent was only a C grade. It was only because of cheating that let him gain the illusion of having B grade. Just a mere class monitor and 2 vice class monitor positions got them itching their fists. How hot-blooded and naive they are at this age. Fang Yuan sneered as he leaned against the gateway of the academy. The so-called glory was just a valuable tool the upper levels used to motivate those below them. In the end, it was just a layer of illusionary glory. It was useless. His 500 years of experience had long allowed Fang Yuan to understand some of the secrets of life. Whether it comes to a clan, sect, or demonic group, whether it is this world or earth, all organizations are like this. The high and low positions are established, making the law of promotion clear, letting those in the organization climb up non-stop from the bottom. Because chasing after profit is the nature of humans, and positions of authority often make people have superiority, creating the illusion that oneself is living a more valuable life than others. Power is like the carrot dangling in front of a donkey. The desires of humans are stimulated by it, and each of them secure their personal gains with someone with authority for it. After climbing up one level, there will be a higher level. While they are busy currying favor for personal gain, their hard work is squeezed out from them, and their value is exploited by the upper position. In every organization, as long as there is a chain of command, it is to give serve to those at the upper ranks. The so-called class monitor and vice-class monitor position is like the smallest carrot, luring everyone else into the structure of the clan. And to stop those below from realizing the truth, those at the higher positions integrate shared values, clear-cutting the idea of glory, meritorious deeds, etc. The establishment of high and low positions are made along with unequal benefits. Sometimes the use of religion is done to dominate people's hearts. This is the real truth, yet it is a pity that too many people in the world do not understand. They foolishly work hard for others. And for every organization in the world, the most fundamental of its essence is just one thing, and that is the redistribution of resources, where the higher the position, the more resources they can enjoy. In his previous life, Fang Yuan had founded the Bloodwing Demon sect in the Middle Kingdom, where he taught up to tens of thousands of people. He erected the positions of demon soldiers, demon generals, demon sages, etc. Each position gave their corresponding benefits, letting countless people flock over like ducks, letting Fang Yuan order them around. This kind of experience allowed Fang Yuan to understand clearly the way of thinking in this principle. Thus, any organization is just a representation, while the real basis is just one word: resources. Without food resources, one will die of starvation. Without water resources, one will die of thirst. Without cultivation resources, one will become weak and sooner or later be bullied to death. And for a Gu master, primeval stones are the most important resource. Fang Yuan's two orbs were deep like an ancient pond, and as his mind reached this point, the corners of his lips curled up slightly, creating the outline of a sneer. He had long left the academy, and right now he stood at the gate entrance of the school. He saw the first batch of students coming out, gradually walking closer towards him. It's Fang Yuan. What's he doing at the middle of the gate entrance? HMPH, every time I see his dead, dysfunctional state, I feel so pissed off. Don't worry about him, he's probably waiting for someone. The young teens paid no attention to him. Just as they were about to walk over, Fang Yuan strode across and blocked them. I'm plundering. Everyone must surrender a piece of primeval stone before they can leave. Chapter 27. Outright extortion. The young teens were instantly shocked and angry. What, I didn't hear wrongly, did I? Fang Yuan, your head must have overheated and gone confused. You would actually stand at the gates of the academy and blackmail us. Have you gone mad? Who gave you the guts to put your ideas on us? Scram, you're just a petty C grade, how dare you block my way? If you don't scram, I will send you flying with my erg. Fang Yuan suddenly lashed out. His right palm furiously cut forward. His movement was quick and precise, his slice of his palm hitting the left side of someone's neck. This unlucky teenager was totally not expecting Fang Yuan to suddenly attack him. While he was still cursing at Fang Yuan, he suddenly suffered a heavy blow. His two eyes instantly rolled up and he fainted on the spot. Fuck, you actually dared to strike. The crowd jumped and the young teen subconsciously retreated backwards. Gu Yue Beiju fainted. What do we do? Some of them were terrified and scared, shouting around in horror. What else can be done? There's so many of us and Fang Yuan is alone. We should all rush at him together and beat him up. Some people were shouting, their rage erupting. That's right, he sure doesn't know his place. How he dares to provoke us by himself. He's definitely digging his own grave with his overambitiousness. Everyone get on him together. Yet before they could do anything, Fang Yuan had already struck. He strode a few steps forward, rushing into the group of teenagers. He slashed his palm and the edge of his hand cut onto a youth's neck. The young man rolled his eyes upward and fell. Ah! Another teen yelled loudly, swinging his fist at Fang Yuan, sweeping through the air. Fang Yuan lowered his body and dodged. Then he lifted his leg and kicked the boy's crotch area. Ah! OWWWWWW. The youngster's loud roar was originally sonorous and indignant, but after he took the blow his voice instantly rose higher and became sharp and shrill, filled with a kind of misery and pain. Thump! He covered his crotch with his two hands, his knees giving way as he dropped to the ground. He rolled around on the floor screaming loudly, the pain so great his entire body was covered in cold sweat. Fang Yuan swung his two fists around like a tiger that had entered a flock of sheep. He had 500 years of battle experience, and these youngsters were just a bunch of soft green kids. They had only just started cultivating not long ago. How could they possibly be his opponents? In the blink of an eye, Fang Yuan put down the entire group of young students. If they had not fainted, then they would be lying on the ground, the pain making them drained and their bodies hurting all over. What's going on here? Gu Yue Mobe arrived and exclaimed. He saw that Fang Yuan stood at the entrance of the academy gates, and there were 5 to 6 students on the floor around him. This Fang Yuan, he wants to extort our primeval stones. One of them lying on the floor shouted angrily while clutching his belly. Wow, still full of energy, huh? Fang Yuan's expression was flat as he kicked fiercely at the abdomen of the boy who just yelled. "Owa!" The youngster immediately cried out in pain, his body curling up like a shrimp. Fear emerged from his face, his tears streaming down as he dared not to speak again. As they saw this scene, the students that came over all felt Fang Yuan's fierce savageness and cruelty, their hearts throbbing. All right, all of you be good and hand out a piece of primeval stone. Then I'll let you go, or else these people on the ground here will be your fate. Fang Yuan made a big step forward, his tone callous. In your mother's face, you petty little C grade would even dare to win me a B grade. Gu Yue Mobe flew into a rage, swinging his fists as he rushed toward Fang Yuan before they knew it. With a slight turn of his ankle, Fang Yuan swerved gently sideways and let Mo Bei's fist fly past. Then he stretched out his left hand, lifting the index and middle finger toward the center of Mo Bei's clavicle, accurately jabbing at the area below the throat. Mo Bei immediately blacked out, falling onto the ground with a thump, fainting on the spot. Hiss! As they saw what just happened, the young students that planned to rush forward quickly stopped, each of them releasing a mouthful of cold air. In the eyes of these youngsters, Fang Yuan's attacks were suddenly too profound to be understood. They did not pay attention to basic martial arts, but in reality it was vaguely mentioned during class. The human body had many vulnerable parts, and several parts that Fang Yuan had struck were one of those vulnerable places. When these parts were struck, it would easily make a person faint on the spot, and a heavy blow would induce a life-threatening crisis. However, Fang Yuan had proper restraint when he attacked. Those that he had tackled down were either knocked out or suffering in immense pain, losing the ability for combat in a short amount of time. There was no one who was really seriously injured. This was the terror of 500 years' worth of combat experience. Are you going to give me your stones or not? Fang Yuan did a step forward, forcing the other youths. They looked at each other for a moment. Then half of them gritted their teeth while the other half roared angrily, all of them swarming towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan dodged about while striking at the same time. His cultivation base was lowly, but his realm was still there. His heart was cool as ice, his movements quick and precise. Thump, thump. After a few breaths, bodies fell down onto the ground again. It's too vicious, too terrible. They're not going to die, are they? There were still a few young girls left behind. They did not rush forward. Their eyes were open wide, and after seeing what had happened so far, their bodies trembled more and more. Fang Yuan swept his gaze to them, and their faces turned pale as they quickly waved their hands and retreated. "No, don't come over. We'll surrender the stones." After Fang Yuan received a few pieces of primeval stones, he let them go. They stumbled out of the academy gateway, while in succession several students came over. To leave the academy, this gateway was the only route. With Fang Yuan blocking this path, he would be able to block out all the students. "Damn, what's going on?" The new wave of students stared in amazement. "Isn't that Guyue Mo Bei?" Guyue Kaicheng stared at the unconscious Mo Bei on the floor, his eyes wide and his mouth agape. When Fang Yuan opened his mouth and spoke, the youngsters were instantly angered and they attacked him, then they fell. "Sir Elder, we're just going to keep watching all of this and not stop them. What if someone loses their life? How are we going to salvage the matter?" The guards were worried. Some of the guards were indignant, saying, "This Fang Yuan has too much guts. He would actually dare to extort his classmates at the academy school gates under our eyelids. This is acting with utter disregard of the law and discipline. As long as Sir gives the command, we subordinates will take away this kid." The violent matter of Fang Yuan blocking the gateway and openly extorting his classmates had long attracted attention since the beginning. But mortal guards had no right to punish the students, so they could only go first to the academy elder and report. When the academy elder heard the news, he did not immediately command for them to stop it. Instead, he went up the pavilion and observed from afar. "Looks like this child has fighting talent." The longer the academy elder watched, the more interested he felt. Fang Yuan's use of the moonblade today had already caused some uncertainty in the elder. Right now he watched as Fang Yuan, with his strength alone, making an enemy out of the entire batch of students, bearing a sort of unstoppable fighting style of graceful demeanor. With this, the doubts in his heart were cleared. In this world there were those who were particularly keen and sharp towards battles. These were hidden gifts. They were good at fighting and they loved battles. In the battles they were often inspired and always created surprising and even unbelievable accomplishments. "Ah, he's a natural battle Gu master. Pity his talent is only C grade. In the end he just lacks one step of a grade." The academy elder heaved a sigh. "Sir, are you not going to stop this farce? Letting him go on with this nonsense, I'm afraid the consequences wouldn't be too good." The guards beside him had worried expressions on their